Quick heads up before we get started. I'm not a doctor, and nothing in this show is medical advice. Always talk to your own physician before starting anything new, especially if you're pregnant, nursing, or on medication. Okay, let's get into it. Creatine has had a strange career. For years, a lot of people thought of it as the white powder in the gym bag. Bodybuilders, athletes, maybe your cousin who says the word gains too much. But now, creatine is showing up in a much wider conversation. Women are asking about it. Older adults are asking about it. People are asking whether it has anything to do with brain energy, recovery, strength, aging, and whether it is secretly hard on the kidneys. So today, we're going to slow it down. What is creatine, actually? What does the evidence look strongest for? Where does the internet get ahead of itself? And who should be more cautious before adding it to the stack? Let's stack it up. Welcome back to the Stack Genius Show. I'm Morgan. Today is a deep dive on creatine, which is one of those supplements that is both more boring and more interesting than the marketing makes it sound. More boring because it is not magic. It is not a personality. It is not a shortcut around training, eating enough, sleeping, or being consistent. But more interesting because creatine is also one of the better studied supplements in the sports nutrition world. And unlike a lot of trendy ingredients, it has a pretty clear biological job. So let's start there. Creatine is a compound your body already makes. You also get some from food, especially meat and fish. Once it is in the body, a lot of it is stored in muscle as phosphocreatine. That matters because phosphocreatine helps your cells rapidly regenerate ATP. ATP is the quick energy currency your cells use. And for short, intense efforts, like lifting a heavy weight, sprinting, jumping, or doing repeated bursts of work, your body needs ATP quickly. Creatine does not give you stimulant energy. It is not caffeine. It is more like increasing the availability of a fast recharge battery system your body already uses. That is the simple version. And honestly, the simple version is enough for most people. The strongest mainstream case for creatine is still physical performance. Some research suggests creatine can help with strength, power output, lean mass gains when paired with resistance training and repeated high-intensity efforts. That phrase matters, paired with resistance training. Creatine is not doing push-ups for you. Rude, but true. If someone takes creatine, changes nothing else, and expects their body to rearrange itself out of gratitude, that is probably not how this goes. Where creatine seems most useful is when it supports a body that is already being asked to adapt. Training is the signal. Food and recovery are the materials. Creatine may help the energy system that supports some of that work. One reason creatine has gotten a fresh wave of attention is that more women are talking about it. That is probably a good thing because creatine spent a long time being marketed in a very narrow, very bro-coded way. But the basic biology is not male-only. Women have muscles. Women use ATP. Women age. Women train. Women recover. Women also get targeted with a lot of vague wellness claims, so a supplement with a stronger evidence base naturally gets attention. That does not mean every woman needs creatine. It means the old framing of, this is just for men trying to get huge, was too small. For women who lift, train, or are trying to maintain strength and lean mass over time, creatine may be a reasonable supplement to understand. Not worship, understand. Another interesting area is aging. As people get older, maintaining muscle and strength becomes more important, not less. Resistance training matters a lot here. Protein intake matters. Mobility matters. Fall prevention matters. Creatine sometimes shows up in that conversation because of its role in muscle energy and training adaptation. Some studies in older adults suggest creatine, especially combined with resistance training, may support improvements in strength or lean mass. but the combined with resistance training part keeps coming back. Creatine is not a replacement for the boring fundamentals. It is more like a possible support tool around them. That is less exciting than a miracle claim, but it is much more useful. Now, the newer internet conversation is creatine for brain health. This is where we need to be careful. The brain uses energy. Creatine is involved in energy metabolism. There is real scientific interest here. But interest is not the same thing as a finished answer. Some early research is looking at cognitive fatigue, sleep deprivation, aging, and other situations where brain energy metabolism might matter. That does not mean creatine is proven to make everyone sharper, happier, calmer, or mentally supercharged. So Morgan's take is this. The brain angle is interesting. It is worth watching. But for a normal listener deciding what to do this week, the most practical and evidence-grounded reason to think about creatine is still muscle performance, strength training support, and maybe healthy aging support around training. If someone is only buying it because a TikTok made it sound like powdered genius, I would slow down. First myth, creatine is a steroid. No, creatine is not an anabolic steroid. It is not testosterone. It is not a hormone. It is a compound your body makes and stores, and that you can also get from food. That does not automatically mean supplementation is right for every person. Natural is not a safety guarantee. Your body also makes stomach acid, and I do not recommend chugging it. But creatine and steroids are not the same category. Here is what's actually true. Creatine is a non-hormonal supplement with a specific role in short-burst energy metabolism, and it has been studied heavily compared with many other supplements. Second myth, creatine wrecks your kidneys. This one needs nuance. In healthy adults, research has generally not shown standard creatine use to damage kidney function. But that does not mean every kidney-related concern is imaginary. Creatine supplementation can raise creatinine levels, and creatinine is one marker clinicians use when evaluating kidney function. That can make interpretation more complicated. And if someone already has kidney disease, reduced kidney function, a history of kidney issues, or is taking medications that affect kidney function, this is absolutely a talk to your clinician first situation. Here is what's actually true. For healthy adults, standard creatine supplementation appears to have a pretty reassuring safety record in the research. But kidney history changes the risk conversation, and lab interpretation belongs with a medical professional, not a podcast host. Third myth, creatine is just water weight. This one is half wrong in a way that makes it confusing. Creatine can increase water held inside muscle tissue. So, yes, some scale change can be water-related, especially early on. But that does not mean the whole effect is fake. If creatine helps someone train a little harder, recover between repeated efforts, or accumulate better work over time, then the long-term training adaptation is not just water. The mistake is expecting the scale to tell the whole story. If a person starts creatine and the scale jumps a little, that does not automatically mean they gained fat. It also does not automatically mean they gained meaningful muscle overnight. Bodies are annoying like that. They contain water. Very inconvenient for simple narratives. Let's talk about dosing without turning this into medical advice. The most common research-backed approach people talk about is creatine monohydrate, often around 3 to 5 grams per day for adults. Some people use a loading phase, which means taking more for several days to saturate stores faster. Others skip loading and just take a smaller daily amount consistently. For many ordinary users, the boring daily consistency approach is easier to tolerate and easier to remember. Creatine monohydrate is also usually the default form worth understanding first. There are fancier versions with louder marketing, but louder marketing is not the same as better evidence. If someone wants to use creatine, they should check the label, avoid stacking multiple products that duplicate it by accident, and consider whether the product has third-party testing if quality matters for their situation. And if they are pregnant, nursing, under 18, have kidney concerns, have a medical condition, or take medications that make kidney or hydration issues relevant, they should ask their clinician before starting. Creatine is generally well tolerated for many healthy adults, but some people report stomach discomfort, bloating, or changes in scale weight. Taking it with food, splitting the dose, or avoiding large loading doses may help some people tolerate it better. Hydration matters, but creatine does not require turning your life into a water drinking contest. The bigger practical issue is expectation. If someone starts creatine and expects to feel it like caffeine, they may think it is not working. Creatine is usually not a feel it in 20 minutes supplement. It is more of a saturation and consistency supplement. Very unglamorous, potentially useful. Those two things can coexist. So who might reasonably consider creatine? Adults doing resistance training, people trying to support strength or power output, older adults who are already doing or planning to do supervised strength training and want to ask whether creatine belongs in that plan. People who eat little or no meat may also be curious, because dietary creatine intake can be lower. That does not automatically mean they need it, but it is a reasonable context. And who should slow down first? Anyone with kidney disease or kidney concerns. Anyone pregnant or nursing. Anyone under 18 unless a qualified clinician is involved. Anyone with a complex medical situation or medication list. And honestly, anyone who is only interested because the internet made it sound like a cure-all. That is usually a sign to pause. Here is the bottom line. Creatine is not a steroid. It is not a stimulant. It is not a magic muscle powder, and it is not automatically dangerous just because it has lived in gym culture for a long time. It is a well-studied supplement with its strongest case around short-burst exercise performance, strength training support, and body composition changes when paired with training. The newer conversations around brain energy and aging are interesting, but they should be handled with more humility than hype. If you are a healthy adult who trains and you are already covering the basics, creatine monohydrate may be worth discussing, researching, and tracking thoughtfully. If you have kidney concerns, are pregnant or nursing, are under 18, or have a medical condition, bring it to a clinician before adding it. And whatever you do not let one supplement become the whole plan. The stack is never just the bottle. It is sleep, food, training, consistency, and knowing what you are actually taking. This has been the Stack Genius Show. If today's episode made you look at your supplement shelf a little differently, that is the whole point. Stack Genius helps you keep track of what you take, spot ingredient overlap, and make your stack easier to understand. Download Stack Genius on the Apple App Store or Google Play Store and start cleaning up the guesswork. Until next time, this is Morgan. Let's stack it up.